I went to Cambodia for a holiday, and I'd been to lots and lots of temples, and I was Angkor Wat especially, the magnificent temples in northern Cambodia. And my tuk-tuk driver, which is the nearest thing to a taxi, which is a motorbike that pulls a little carriage, I had this sort of same tuk-tuk driver for more than a week, and he said, "Do you want to come to my wedding?" So I said, "Yes, please." No idea how remote this village was. And we went to the wedding, and of course he was very occupied during his day, so I was left to my own devices, and I roamed around and was staggered at the warmth, the hospitality, and the incredible mind-numbing poverty and malnutrition of this particular village. I want you to imagine dirt tracks between rice fields. It just slightly, that's the roads. Slightly wider than a walking track, but in the villages you can get vehicles down, and so you widen the tracks to create a one-street village. Then the rice fields are behind the houses, and that's the village. About 1,000 people. 50% are under the age of 15. I gave a camera to a policeman there. The police get $20 a month. They don't have uniforms, they don't have a vehicle, all they've got is an AK-47. And with no way of getting evidence or anything like that. And I gave a policeman a camera, and I gave an old monk, because it's a very Buddhist, the only social welfare in the country is the Buddhist monks. They're wonderful, absolutely beautiful, good people. The blind abbot, I gave him a radio. And another policeman came to me and said, "John, you're really, really good. Can you give us a school, please?" I said, "Pardon?" He said, can you give us a school, please?" And I said, "Look, I know you think I'm very, very rich." This is through a translator. But I'm only a teacher. In Australia, I'm not rich at all. He said, "Could you ask your friends?" Well, I couldn't say no, could I? And it was a magical question. He didn't realise how magical it was. He just said, "If you can't do it, could you ask your friends?" So I did, and I came back, and the rest is history in a way, but and I did. I asked Rotary, and within months, a matter of months, after a lot of work with through Cambodia, a lot of work with Rotary International, we priced it, etc., 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 etc. All done in Cambodian law. Everything came to pass, but in the interim, I found out a lot of details about why a school was vital. This particular area is, I would say, almost every girl in the village, if she leaves the village, becomes a prostitute. Not only that, but we're talking buying girls. We're talking people coming to the village buying children, and like buying them forever as a commodity. But then we're talking about boys whose only other source of income outside the village, and there is no income in the village except for one rice harvest, is the sweatshops of Phnom Penh, which is 12 hours a day working in sewing machine factories, making Columbia and Gap clothes that we pay a fortune for. They work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, for $7 a week. $7 a week, 12 hours a day, and there's no sick pay or anything. So that's the only other source of income, or prostitution.
Very good, very good. Moi.
Those that can read and write their own language, those that can do some arithmetic, those that know a little bit about the world and morality and health, they stand a chance. They stand a chance to work in the burgeoning tourism industry. They stand a chance to become receptionists. They stand a chance to perhaps create their own business opportunities. Otherwise they don't. We worked out that 400 children needed to go to school. We worked out eventually, because it took a long time to work this out in translation, that there was a high school in the district, but you know that was for 15 years to 18 years old, and there's a university in Phnom Penh where you'd have to leave home and live in Phnom Penh, sleeping on a floor somewhere. So there is a high school, but there's nothing from 5 to 15. So, to cut a long story short, the school that we have now got and up and running is packed to the gunnels with, imagine a room 10 metres by 10 metres. Then we've got 3 of those in the school, which is beautifully built. It'll last forever, this thing. Terracotta roof, brick, rendered brick, beautiful thing. 70 kids per room in an ordinary sized classroom. Think of a Western classroom, think of 70 children in it. In the morning, starting at 7 o'clock, then a different set of children in the afternoon with the same teacher, and the teacher gets $1 a day. Now we've doubled that to $2 because of course Beaudesert Rotary is paying the extra $1 a day per teacher, so it works out at $360 a year per teacher. That's, which even an individual in Australia could help with. Sponsor a teacher. You'd actually, for $360, you pay a teacher's annual salary, and you can do that through Rotary. Anyway, what we've got is our school now finishes at 12. Now some of the ones from 12 to 15 are cramming into our classrooms, but they really need their own school, a middle school. It's just not on. So in a way, school finishes at 12. Our next project, because the first one is now up and running, we're all happy, everything is wonderful. We've got our primary school, if you like, up to age 12. We need a middle school. The high school is catered for in the district elsewhere. They can get there even if they board on the floor of the school. They tend to sleep on the floor of the school and get rice during the day. We need a middle school, which is a carbon copy of our school. Some of you will have seen photos. There's photos, I'm pretty sure, on BoFM's website, is there not? And I'm sure at some point the Beaudesert Times will probably print a picture of the finished school. It'll be a carbon copy of that next to it, right next to it. So it'll be like a long line of one school, then another school, and then we will have a whole timeline of education for these kids.